All right, we're gonna call this Board of Directors meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. We got, this board has a land acknowledgement and an anti-racism statement that we've written in support. It is on, posted on the board's website. Roll call tonight. We got, Brian Cope is gone. I have not heard from Andy Glover, and Kim and Josh are just running a couple minutes late here. And they'll be with us in just a minute. So moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, that passes. All right, do we have any announcements? Sonia?
Well, I'm not sure if you were going to say it or not, but I'm not sure if this is an announcement either, but I just wanted to make the community aware that right now we are actually working with a staff of temp security officers. As everybody knows, or most people know, one of our long-term security officers passed away. One of our other ones is just, he's having to take time off. And meanwhile, Pacific Security is dealing with what almost everybody's dealing with right now, which is that a lot of people didn't return back to the workforce. So they're working quickly to get a permanent solution, but I'm just going to ask the community to be a little patient with that. The new guys, again, we're getting temps. They're trying, but they just they're not trained on the standard procedures and everything, and we just happen to be hitting this really busy end time of the build season. So we're just going to ask the community, please be a little compassionate about the situation. Everybody's doing the best they can. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sonia. Any other announcements?
Hey guys, sorry for being tardy.
No worries, Josh. Thanks for letting us know. All right, not hearing any other announcements. We'll move to first round of property owner comments.
Yeah.
6 people.
If anybody would like to jump in for this, just use raise hand in Zoom, and we'll bring you over for the first round of property owners comments. There will be another set at the end of the agenda here. But if anybody would like to jump in now, just use raise hand in Zoom. Oh, we got a couple takers. Leslie, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on over. Just give your name and address, please.
Leslie McRoberts, Gate 1. And got a couple of questions about the article that was in latest views about staffing, et cetera, et cetera. It said there that there were 69 active employees at the present time. And how does this translate to FTEs?
Hey, can you send Joel the link? He's waiting over there, and he could come in, and that's part of, he could answer that specifically, but those numbers came straight from our payroll, from our HR manager.
Yeah, I'm sure that, yeah, I agree that, you said 69 actual employees, but that does not necessarily translate to 69 FTEs.
No, they don't. So we have 31 full-time employees that are the full-time employees, and we have part-time employees and seasonal employees, and that's what makes up the difference.
Yeah, I'm just trying to correlate with, how many are full-time, how many are part-time, so that they, if they're part-time, they're not getting benefits, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of a guess on, how much they're being paid. And the other thing is, how many of those are seasonal?
I think, just to jump in here, Leslie, I'm not sure we can just give you everything offhand, right on the spot here like that. I think it might be, if you could pose that question to us in an email quick, we can get you, some answers to that. I think it might be a bit easier. If
Okay,
that's all right with you.
Because what I was going to say, we would have to go to HR and the county manager as far as how that exactly breaks down. That's,
Yeah.
sorry.
One of the other things that was in that article was that the managers are taking care of their own departments as far as, getting work done, et cetera, et cetera. How many managers do we have?
We currently have our county manager, Joel Heverling, our maintenance manager, Darren Finnison. We have our Parks and Rec manager, Sam, and turf care superintendent is Jeremy, and Brian is our golf director. And then Rachel is in a part-time role as our HR and ASM, while we look to fill her position permanently, and we are actively recruiting our general manager.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about, security, who's coordinating with security at the present time?
Security is run by Pacific Security. They have standard operating procedures that they normally work off of. And then they coordinate with the admin and the executives, primarily AJ. But as I mentioned in that announcement, it's a little different right now. We got a bunch of they've been cycling through temps that they don't understand the procedures. We're trying to work with them, but you can only minimally train people that are only going to be here for one day. So what we're just trying to do is make sure we're keeping the roads clear. If there's a big issue, then we address it. Joel Carter who works with ACC on those new builds, is being really active about making sure he's going out there, and Brian Krulak. So it's pretty much the same people that have always done it. Like I said, everybody's just one of those situations where everybody kind of has to chip in right now. But normally, Mike Abbott, who's one of the main security guys, runs all of that and then coordinates it and issues the reports.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Interestingly enough, we are able to get those reports and haven't had any problems. So things have actually been going a little bit smoother for those of us on the board. And generally, the general manager would be able to oversee that. So had we not had to let one go for cause, we would not be in this situation. Thank you, Sonia, for stepping up with those explanations.
All right, Leslie, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and return you to the attendees here. And we did have another hand from Cheryl. I'll go ahead and bring you on over and unmute when you're ready. Give your name and address, please.
I'm Cheryl Taylor. I'm 6 Caddy Lane. I have just had some concerns about the road blockages. Notice was supposed to be actually put on doors and we're not. The sign that was put up at the end of the road was, the contractor was told by security to remove it because too many people complained about it and it was confusing. I'm just kind of concerned about that. The 14th green is right there and that road leads to the 15th tee. That puts the golfers in a bit of a risk liability with the traffic in between there. So I appreciate the fact that, yeah, they had the signs going, but there were no flaggers. There was no notice given, nothing posted on our doors. Now, granted, I'm not right next to the lot that this is being done on. I am 2 doors down, but the road that's affected definitely affects our ability to get in and out. And it also affects the ability of safety people, the fire department, to get in. Should somebody on that street require it, it's going to be a problem. So I just wanted to let you know, I know I brought this up at the last meeting, and some attempts have been made to resolve it. I really appreciate that. I think the contractor is trying to work with us. But yeah, with the thing in security, he's getting very conflicting reports, and it's making it very difficult to make sure that safety is maintained. My second part of this is, are they not supposed to provide a portable toilet on site for their employees, or have they been given permission to use the restroom that's there? Does anyone know?
I'm not aware. I did see your email to Joel Carter today.
Okay.
So I'd probably defer to him when he responds on that issue.
Okay.
But yeah, my understanding is they need to have a portable toilet, like every contractor anywhere they work, really.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience. When I moved into my house and we had to have the roof replaced and they didn't get it done in time, the owners had allowed them to use our toilet inside, and it was a big problem for us when we moved in. And yeah, I think some of the contractors have been feeling a bit under the gun with the window closing, and they seem to be trying to cut a few corners at times on the notification on the doors. We are working with some admin staff that we have that are new and getting them trained up on some of that stuff. And as Sonia said, the security officers our main security officer has been out for personal reasons for a little bit now, and we're trying to work with those temp security officers to help them understand things a bit better, and
Well, even if the staff could possibly, even send an email, if posting door to door isn't possible, if, somebody could send out an email. I know Leslie's got email. I have email. My next door neighbor right next to this project has email. Everybody on the street has email, and I would be pretty surprised if they weren't involved with the e-blast.
It was posted.
It's just a possible suggestion.
It was posted to the website.
Now it is. It wasn't yesterday.
It went up last night is when it went up.
Oh, okay. Well, and it poured today.
yeah.
It poured today. That, according to our rules, we need at least 24 hours notice. And they started work at 12, and they just finished about 6:30, 5:30, 6 o'clock or so. So, I'm just wanting to let you know. Fair?
Well, we'll talk to our admin staff and see what we can do in that regard.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Cheryl. I'll go ahead and return you to the attendees as well.
Got Nancy.
We've got Nancy. Go ahead and bring Nancy on over. If you could give your name and address, please, and unmute when you're ready.
Hi, I think I'm unmuted. Nancy Alionak, 4 Sandalwood Circle, or Gate 3. Which is it you wish to have?
Your address.
I think your name is good.
Yeah.
We know you.
Normally in a live meeting, I think we would do name and address.
You mean like 4 Sandalwood?
Yeah.
Well, I just asked because Leslie's address is Gate 1.
I didn't even catch it. Oh my God. Thank you for pointing that out.
So, yes, I'm being a little obnoxious here, and I will go away right now that I've made my point. Bye all.
Thank you, Nancy. Have a good evening. All right. Anybody else?
Looks like Leslie has her hand up again.
Leslie's got her hand up again. I'll go ahead and bring you back on over here,
Name
Leslie.
and address, please.
Name and address, please.
Leslie McRoberts, 2 Caddy Lane, right next door to Cheryl. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
All right.
Wait, did we get Cheryl's address? All right, sorry, guys.
It's next door to Leslie.
All right, seeing no more hands, we gotta move over to closed session. We got a motion.
I
I move to go over to closed section.
At 6:20. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll see you over there.
All right.
No.
Sorry about that. My worked the first time I logged in. All right. Do we have a motion to move back into open session?
Move to return to open session at 8:27 p.m.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. Is Mr. Heveling there to do the financials? Feel
Well-
free to be quick.
Yeah, I'm here. Let me pull up, then I'll do a screen share here real quick.
And feel free to do the abbreviated version, Joel. We know it's getting late.
Income and expenses, balance sheet.
Screen share, okay. Okay, so I'll just give you the quick version. Shouldn't take any more than about an hour at the most, I think. So I'll start off on the balance sheet roll. I mean, everything looks great cash flow, like current net operating assets are in good position on the balance sheet. The only real thing that I'll highlight on the balance sheet is the, here we go. Now, I mentioned this in the finance committee meeting. I'll just repeat it here in the board meeting. So this PPP loan liability on the balance sheet, that's $357,700. So we applied for the forgiveness of this amount, and we heard from the bank, maybe it was last week, possibly the week before. No, I think it was really last week so we received formal. So the Small Business Administration, the bank heard has forgiven this loan. So now this loan is forgiven. We'll get it like an official letter from the bank here soon. So then soon this amount will then be, basically it'll come off the balance sheet as a liability, and then it'll appear on the income statement as debt forgiveness is what it's going to be in, like an income statement line item, debt forgiveness, which will increase the, now since I'm talking about the income statement, I'll just turn right to it. So then basically it will, it'll help out that bottom line, the net income amount. I'll just cover some big highlights on the financial statement. So now at this point, at the end of July 31, 2021, year to date, at this point, now that we're this deep in the year, it's just more useful just to focus on year to date. So we're at 365,541 year to date income at the end of July year to date. Last year at this time, we were about $127,680 net income. We're better than budget at this point by about 169,000, which we would expect that we probably would be at this point of the year. And our collection rate is at the end of July is 94.5%. So we had a 95% budgeted collection rate for the year. And I've calculated the collection rate for August. So our collection rate has gone up from 94.5% at the end of July to at the end of August. Now it's 95.2% year to date. So we're tracking a little over budget collection rate wise. So last year at the end of August 2020, we were 94.5% year to date at the end of August, and we still finished out the year at the end of 2020 at a 95.5% collection rate. So we're tracking better at the end of August than what we did last year. And so it means we're in good shape to continue on with that collection rate. Usually at this point of the year, collection rate tends to pick up. So we should be fine, meet the budget or above that collection rate wise at the end of the year. Now, when I do talk about the expense to revenue ratio, which is just literally your expenses divided by the revenues right here. And obviously, a lower number is better. So you want to see a lower number in this case for this one ratio. So we're 85.8% expense to revenue ratio at the end of July. At the end of June, last month, we were 88%. So it's going down, which is good because since our net income is going up from the end of June. Last year at the end of July 2020 was 93.8%, which is worse in that case. So so we would expect to see this since our net income is higher at the end of July this 2021 than at the end of 2020. Now, in terms of this sheet, which I won't spend too much time on, which is a really handy sheet, capital reserve fund sheet, which shows your major categories: surf, roads, mailboxes, the ones that you hear about the most. You can see it's just a function of the dues coming in versus the capital expenditures and obligated expenses that the board has approved. So basically, this is what's left to spend of anything that the board has approved at this point, which we just kind of counted as spent, so to speak. And then board recommended carryover balance. It's not an expenditure, it's just an amount that you kind of want to have, basically, or would like to have at least at the end of the year. So even when you subtract that, then this last line gives you your net usable cash, as it's called, projected net usable cash at the end of this year, 2021. So 1.9 million for surf, 1.7 million for roads, and so on and so forth. So all the major ones that you're used to seeing, surf, roads, capital reserves, mailboxes, these are all up from the prior year. UDR, this is really the only one that's, in terms of like these reserves that we really contribute money into. It's down slightly from last year, but that's only because we have obligated expenses showing up right here. Board approved obligated expenses like the GM search and more money, another $40,000 for tree removal that was approved not too long ago, a month or two ago. I'll just turn the page to so this is showing you the income statement current month. So now you're looking at the exact same income statement. There's for the month, 111,435 income. There's that same 111,435 income month to date, only for the month for net income. And then basically this page is showing you what department was responsible for what, in terms of it's breaking down on a by departmental basis. So, I mean, the big department on here is golf. So like, for example, golf had approximately $149,000 of revenue only for the month of July. Last year, they had about $121,233 of revenue. So the revenue is up by about real close to $28,000 for the year. Then their expenses, which is just the actual salary, benefits, and the other expenses right here added together. So that comes up to 96,602. Last year it was 82,177. So their expenses are up by about 14,425. But the important thing is their net income for the month, 52,356. Last year it was 39,056, so they're better than last year. Now, if we go to the next page, which is the year-to-date page, so now you're looking at the entire year, January through July. If we look at golf again, so the revenue for the year is at the end of July is 765,378. Last year was 576,690. So the revenue is up by about $189,000 year to date. Their expenses right here, actual salary, benefits, it's basically payroll expenses. Then actual other expenses, those two added together come up to about 537,301. Last year it was 467,176. Of course, they were closed during the pandemic for 40 some days or so last year as well, which contributes both to having more revenue this year, but also some more expenses this year as well too. So their expenditures are up about 70,125. Their net income for the year is 228,077. Last year it was 109,514. So their year-to-date revenue is up approximately $119,000. And another good thing, so Brian said just not too long ago that golf, for the first time is now, in terms of revenue-wise, is now tipped over $1 million of revenue for the year. So golf is doing really well for Sun Valley. And I would say, just in terms of, in a nutshell, that's the financial statements, if anyone had any questions.
I'll just say a big thank you to Brian and all of his crew for that huge accomplishment. So we very much appreciate that.
Yeah. Linda?
Hey, Linda?
Okay, I have a question on page 4 of 6, please. I only have 3 questions. There's the net board approved UDR activities. It says Firewise, road mowing, and clean green. There's nothing in there. Does that mean there was nothing expended out of that fund for July? That there's no numbers in there?
What, are you looking at this cash sheet?
No, I'm looking at page 4 of 6.
I actually have, is that the income statement? Sorry, I'm looking at a different copy with probably.
Yeah, I'm looking at the current month
Okay.
sheet. That's
Capital reporting sheet.
You're looking at this sheet.
If you look down here, it says Firewise, road mowing, and clean.
Right.
It's blank. Does that mean there was no money spent out of there in July for those?
That's correct. In July, there is no money spent out of there. The next page, you would see.
I don't see it on the next page. I went and looked. Because I thought we were still having clean green every other weekend.
Well, the Firewise, that was finished a couple of months ago, or it was finished like months ago.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying clean green it continues all year long, correct? Or at least through the fall.
Yeah.
I think they had their last one this last weekend.
And then road mowing, whenever they do that, I don't think they've been mowing, but I know they've been sweeping up here.
So so it just looks like a row was collapsed on the spreadsheet, but on this page, in the full financial statements, you can see Firewise is 24,304 for the year.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, are you on page 2 of 6? No, you're not.
No, this would be on the full financial pages online.
All righty. So my next question is on our page 2 of 6. I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Which is the income statement summary.
You talking about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me how we get a positive. So if we're collecting and our current dues for the month, our assessments for regular dues is under budget, how in the world do we collect over? We have a bad debt reserve balance that's a positive 4587 for the special assessment. How do we do that? Over here for the month to date.
Yeah, so okay, so what's going on here for the special assessment? So like regular operating dues, this special assessment is going to reverse that. It's not going to only tie itself just to one individual like year, so to speak. So meaning if people are, in this case, basically in this case, we had a recouping of past special assessments, like where people had, they had like dues owing in prior months. And now we have basically in the month of July, we have more people paying special assessment dues than what was charged. And that only happens when more people are paying back dues that are owed. So that's basically why you see this. This is just a reversal of, you could think about it, prior bad debt expense in a sense.
But isn't that counted into our regular dues also assessment, that number?
No, meaning the regular
Okay.
dues. No, it's not. Yes.
Then the last question I have is down on that page under UDR activity, we have Ken's Cozy Kitchen for 24,304.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Something we owed them from the year before or what?
Here's see that 24,304, that's the Firewise amount. So basically what you
So
actually
you
just
just have the wrong thing there.
identified an editing mistake on a row is what it is.
I gotcha. That's all I need to know. Thank you. All
Yeah.
done.
And that solves that mystery with the other. So,
That works. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks for pointing that out too, by the way.
All right, any other questions?
I just wanted to thank Joel for his presentation. I know it's late, and to just say that I think that our financials look really good for our association. So
Yeah, they do.
good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thank you, Joel. And you don't have to stick around to the end of the meeting if you don't want to, so
Oh, okay.
just letting you know.
Was
Loves it here.
there anything any questions you possibly had, you think, with measure one? And the
Yeah, are we going to review the packet? Does he need to stay for that?
I mean, that's already all been approved and adopted, so I don't know.
I guess you can go.
I'm not sure. I guess, does anybody have questions on that?
Do you have any questions, Linda, about measure one? You don't? Okay. All
All right. Well, thank you, Joel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joel.
So moving forward to new business. So I put an RFQ process together. It's very similar to what was presented for the GM search consultant. And Linda had asked some good questions about it, and I'll kind of, this is kind of stuff I was going to talk about. I sent the board an email with some additional documentation on this, but in a nutshell, Linda was wondering, we have a 10-year capital improvement process in place that's through 2028. And so why do we need to do an update to this? This is something we talked about in the budget meetings a little bit. And we do have money set aside for next year to do this work. I think it's prudent in order to accomplish projects actually next year and deal with some of the major road deficiencies that we have. We've definitely gotten a fair amount of emails, over this year on the state of this road and the state of that road. The general sense is a capital improvement program is a living document. The county and Whatcom County Public Works puts together on a yearly basis, they put together what's called a 6-year transportation improvement program. And then also they take that 6-year plan and build a 1-year annual construction program. And they do this yearly. They update the 6-year yearly and the annual yearly. Do we need to go to the same level of detail as Whatcom County Public Works? No, not necessarily. They also have an entire department of engineers dedicated to this exact purpose. But it is a living document. It needs to be updated on a regular basis. It's not just like put it together, it's 10 years and then it's done and we're good for 10 years. Roads change, drainage changes over the course of a year, or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. This plan that we have in place is good supposedly through 2028, which means we're essentially 4 years into this plan. Similar to our bylaws on the long range planning committee, we're supposed to do major reviews of our long range plans every 3 years. This is about the time we need to start updating our capital improvement program. Some things I'll point out that I think are very pertinent. Our current capital improvement program has a lot of vague projects. There's no specifics. There's not anything outlined on what exactly which roads are going to be dealt with. It simply just says main roads and gates, da 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 da, or secondary and residential roads and gates, da 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 da. Well, all of our roads are residential, so I'm not really sure what residential means in comparison to main and secondary roads. And there is no necessarily clear delineation of what a main and a secondary road is. I think all of us as community managers have a somewhat general sense of that concept. But we need actual projects in place that our management staff can execute for us, and that the community can look at our plan and be like, my road is really bad, thinking Green Hill Road, Cascade Lane, Maple Lane, bunch of those gate 3 steep roads that connect Harborview and Sun Valley Drive are delamming. The pavement is just crumbling. It's not a simple pavement job. A lot of those roads are going to need to be rebuilt, rehabilitated. Our governing documents say we need to have an independent engineer to put together a roads plan for us. We do have Tyler with P&W, but he is not a licensed engineer. He's just a project manager for us. I've coordinated and talked to him about this, and he has also agreed that we do need to, do this work, that he can't design projects for us to rebuild roads and things like that. I think basically there's nothing really laid out for our management staff to actually execute projects. None of it's actually coordinated to give us economy of scale. Our culvert program isn't coordinated with our road program. So they're just separate and they operate on a separate schedule. And there could be significant cost savings and economy of scales that come with, okay, this road needs to be rebuilt and this culvert on that road is toast. And, in our culvert plan, that culvert could be 10 years from now, but it may behoove us to just do it now, or vice versa, kind of thing. We want all this stuff to be coordinated. We want to recognize those economy of scales where we can in both design and construction phases of projects. We also, there's been a lot of talk through our strategic planning team meetings, through our budget meetings, about trails, sidewalk alternatives, those types of things. You'll notice that I've changed the name of our capital improvement program to Roads, Drainage, and Pedestrian Capital Improvement Program. And I would like to utilize this process to address some of those issues. And again, coordinating those with road projects so that if we're going through and paving, we can do that. And we can add some sort of sidewalk alternative if it's appropriate in this area. And I think the main thing we'd be looking for is, building a connected trail system for our community, for all of our various gates to be able to get to all of these various areas, whether it's the marina, the rec corridor, Lookout Mountain, Galbraith Mountain, everything in between. We get a lot of emails about, and we hear a lot of discussion about walking on the fog line or walking in the middle of the roadway, and people don't like doing it. So, exploring those green space areas, connecting them up via roadway, side of roadway improvements, that are, sidewalks are not really a feasible option for us. They may work in a few select places, but it's not. In majority of our roads, they're going to be a nuisance, and they're not even going to be able to be made ADA accessible or anything like that. And so they're just not really a very feasible option or reality. And so part of this program would be implementing a new part of the program, which would look at our pedestrian facilities, look at those green spaces, figure out where we could build a multimodal, multi-use trail that would allow walking and biking to happen. That would be, built to, a standard similar to like an interurban trail, as opposed to just a primitive hiking trail. So it'd be accessible to the vast majority of our members, to use. Some of the other questions that Linda had were, are we paying for information we already have, regarding some of the stuff that we already have in place? And to some extent, like, yeah, the stuff gets re-reviewed on a regular basis, like a culvert that was identified 8 years ago as needing improvement, but it was low on the list or something like that, could now be high on the list. Or some culvert that was never identified as needing replacement may now, this many years down the road, need immediate work to be done, or maybe it just needs to get added to the list and the priority is not that high. So there is a bit of like a repetitive looking at this stuff. We don't have to re-inventory our whole like drainage system, but we do need to get eyes on everything again, basically. Make sure that we reprioritize and put together, a plan based on those prioritizations. I think, if you look at how the county does it, and I think following a little bit of a better standard than what we have. It's been like 4 or 5 years since the last one was put together. We've actually accomplished, a number of the projects on there. There's a few projects on there that are not actually what they seem to be. There's a stormwater mitigation for the lower golf course parking lot on there, and that project was put on there basically it was stated that this project needed to be done to meet stormwater requirements that weren't done according to what the county required on a previous, I think it was 2016 or 2017 project on Marigold Drive with pavement. And basically the golf course parking lot is significantly more than what the county is requiring. It was basically a project used to disguise, it was a golf course parking lot project disguised as a stormwater mitigation project. And talking with Tyler, we can accomplish the mitigation that we're required to at, a significant fraction of the cost of what is currently listed in our capital program. And he actually has places where we can accomplish those mitigation requirements, plus do some additional to provide us somewhat of a bank for future road projects that trigger treatment requirements. Because if we start digging into road subgrade because the road is that bad, we're going to start triggering stormwater treatment requirements from the county. If we're just paving over existing pavement, and then nothing happens. That's just considered maintenance, and we just need kind of standard, permitting and notification to the county for those things. And I think, that kind of outlines mostly what I'd put into my email back to the board. I really think, my opinion is, I really think this is an important piece for putting our roads back on track. I think the people that live on roads that have these delamming issues, they would appreciate, even if the road isn't getting done in the manner or the quickness that they want it to, they would appreciate seeing their road on a list. It's been identified as an issue, and they can see approximately when that job is going to take place. We don't have that currently. Part of this program would be to develop project sheets for each of the projects that they list on there, which we did do in our capital stormwater stuff, but we don't seem to have it in our roadway projects. Our capital stormwater stuff identifies projects, has a narrative for each one that describes the project, a cost estimate, permitting requirements, that type of thing, all those types of things. And so, be looking to identify all that type of stuff and everything like that. So that is pretty much what I would like to say. And then I'll kind of open it for questions before we make a decision.
Is there a motion?
Not yet. Suppose I can do that quick and then we can discuss.
Can I just say something? I don't have a question. I just wanted to say I read your response to Linda because those are really good questions. And so was your response and board email. And I was just going to ask you, can we get that on the website? Because I think it's a lot of really good detail. Like I said, those are questions a lot of people have. And so it'd be great if we could see that on the website. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I was going to try to put together a little Q&A thing this weekend that we could post to the website to kind of outline some of that. But I'll move that the board of directors approve the advertisement of the RFQ number 21-03 for consultant engineering services for a 10-year capital roads, drainage, and pedestrian improvement program.
Second.
Anybody have any further discussion or questions?
Nice work, AJ.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought your proposal was very well written and thorough, and I like the idea of the pedestrian improvement plan. And the roads, I run the roads in Sutton Valley, and some of the edges of the roads are broken off, and it's there's some places that need a lot of work.
There definitely are. You know, Steffi had a sick kid and had to take off, but I've driven past her house and her road, and man, it's, you know, we get lots of emails about it, you know, and a lot of people think they're pothole issues, but they're actually not potholes. It's actually delamination of the asphalt. And so that last layer of asphalt that got put down is just peeling away, basically. You know, a pothole is like a physical hole that you can fill, you know, and then lay some cold mix over the top of it, or put an HMA, a hot mix asphalt patch down on top. And that can hold for a long time. But the delamming stuff, you pretty much got to grind the whole road surface down and relay it. And a lot of that stuff is probably going to trigger some stormwater treatment to go along with it, because we're probably going to be getting down into the subgrade on some of that stuff.
Is that like Lake Louise, like where all those cluster holes are back there? There's like patches where there's like cluster holes in Lake Louise, right by the trail.
Yeah, that's similar. Some of that's like by the farms there on Lake Louise is more like potholes there, where it comes around that sharp corner and goes up the hill. But then like the stuff like in between Gate 5 and Lake Whatcom Boulevard is like, a lot of that is delamming issues. You're actually seeing some of that stuff is like subgrade failure issues, where you see the road kind of like sink and stuff, you know, and the county's got that on their 6-year plan to pave Lake Louise from Cable Street all the way to Lake Whatcom Boulevard here in the next few years, I believe. So hooray for that. Any one of us that drive that will appreciate when that gets accomplished. But I think, you know, we have a significant amount of road work that is just not properly planned out, and we need a more explicit plan to execute. And, you know, yeah, like Sonia brought her road up. Like I went up and looked at it 5 years ago. That road was, you know, not doing what it is now. Now it's like the whole road is upheaving, you know, and that's a reason why you need to look at this stuff and reevaluate every 3 years or, you know, 5 years, maybe, you know, based on what we have in our plan, because we don't have explicit projects. You know, we need to do it sooner rather than later. If we get a very good plan together, then maybe it needs to be reevaluated, you know, every 5 years or something like that. So, and I know, you know, talking with people who've lived here, and Linda just said it, we used to have road plans that highlighted all of our roads and when they would be dealt with. We also need a pavement preservation program put in place. Like on top of these roads that we need to rebuild, we need to maintain and preserve the pavement. You know, that micro seal that went down was a version of that. You could do chip seal. I don't think our community is going to like chip seal because it basically feels like a gravel road, Or you could do thin lays, which is a very thin hot mix asphalt overlay, or you could get into a thicker overlay as well. Those are all pavement preservation programs. They have different lifespans. You know, an overlay will last 20 years. The chip seal and the micro seal will only last about 7 to 10. There's significant cost differences in the two, so all that has to be considered. But we need a pavement preservation program. You know, we need to fix these roads that are serious issues, or we're going to be like rebuilding the roads in their entirety, not just cutting all the pavement down and laying, you know, and recompacting the subgrade. We're going to be rebuilding the subgrade because it's just going to get destroyed. You know,
I feel like I have to
stuff.
go to an engineering course to understand half the stuff that you're saying, AJ.
Sorry. Let's
call the question.
Kind of my
Which
life.
explains why we need an engineer to handle this program.
Layman terms, AJ, layman terms.
I try.
I liked it.
Can we call it?
Is there any more discussion? All right, the motion on the table is for the board to approve the advertisement of the RFQ for consultant engineering services for a 10-year capital roads, drainage, and pedestrian improvement program. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, moving forward, I will pass it over to Linda.
Okay, you guys have 10,000 pages of printer proofs. The thing probably that you haven't seen the most, because you've seen a lot of the booklet, is the envelopes, but they send us everything. The business reply, and you have another sheet that has where you sign. That's what the back side of the return envelope looks like. So you have the front side they will just have to mail back, that we'll be paying the postage on, and then the signage line. There's a copy of the secret envelope, and there's a copy of what the booklet and their voting materials will go out in. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff?
I just got, well, I'm working on putting it together, and I'll get it to you here after this meeting. I'll do it right after, but I got a couple just very minor tweaks to my letter at the beginning after, you know, digesting it a bit more and then rereading it. There's just a couple wording things I want to adjust.
That's one thing that this girl does not proof is the president's letter.
Oh, yeah, I mean, everything's fine. I just want to tweak a couple of the wording things to be a bit more clear.
Have any questions at all about the envelopes, or how they look, or what they say, or? Okay.
So
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I looked at them briefly. I want to look at them just a little bit more, because you know sometimes we'll just miss like something if we don't like read every little letter. I just didn't get a chance to do that.
And the first thing I sent you,
that it needed to be tonight. I know. I was just saying I'll have to do it when I can confirm that I can do it when I get off. It looked good on an initial draft. My thing was on the ballot booklet. So you want to talk about the envelopes?
No, let's talk. Well, no, if nobody has questions in the envelopes, I'm moving on from the envelopes. What I'd like to do next is the ballot and both sides of that, either the front of it or the back of it. And then we're going to do the long election booklet last, if that works.
Sounds good.
So has everybody looked at the ballot and the instructions? It's a lot what it looked like last year. I know the PDF looks funny with some of the double L's, but when you actually print out the document, it looks just fine. I don't know why. They take what we send them and put it onto their form that conforms to how their reader reads them. It's why all the dots are where they are, and it's why all the spacing is the way it is. It's so when these get put in the reader, it reads real quick and it reads correctly. So they take what we send them and that's how it all gets put together. Does anybody have any questions with the instructions or the ballot? Or anything that's incorrect?
No, I mean, I'm gonna give everything kind of a once over again, but
Okay,
yeah.
but she's expecting something. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, it's tonight. We know. Gotta be tonight.
Linda, did you look? I mean, are like looking at the envelopes and stuff? I don't know what those zip codes are. Does somebody on there?
It's
zip codes?
completely correct.
Okay.
You know, all of this is what'll go on the mailer that goes out to the membership. Your address will apply where it says Sudden Valley Community Association 2021 enrolled blah blah blah. Then that's where your address and stuff will show up. The secret ballot envelope is just that. You put stuff in the secret envelope.
I do have a question about other languages. Do we ever get a request for our ballots in other languages? And is there any kind of modification made if we do?
To my knowledge, we've never gotten any requests. I personally never have had anybody send a request to me as the chair of N&E.
Okay.
So,
an option for that though, if someone does.
So this came up a few months ago, and Nancy was talking with John, because what we can do is put the ballot booklet and a copy of that ballot onto the website, and then we just need a widget or something. I don't know. Joel said what it was called, Joel Dobbins, but it's just something we add to WordPress that'll allow. It's a translation tool.
Mm-hmm.
To allow them to be able to go in there and read it in any language, basically.
And as soon as you finalize all this, I intend to have a copy of stuff to go in the AGM thing for Lauren or someone to post on site.
Okay. But that'll be done. This year we'll have the widget translator.
Yeah, it's just something you add to the website. It's some kind of add-on to the website. It sounds like it's relatively easy to do. So we just have to set it up, or somebody has to set it up.
Talked about that, and then Joshua had said something about being easy and being able, something we could do with our AGM stuff online. So I'm assuming somebody's just waiting for the finalized documents.
Can we confirm who that is so we're not just guessing?
Well, we're not really guessing. It's just
okay.
Yeah, no, because we have talked about it a few times, and so it's just a matter of that John, and then there's somebody in admin, and we'll just review which one works better with our current website, right? And then it just gets loaded up. So they just have to make a determination about that accessibility tool or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing to call it.
Okay, so we're at the election booklet.
I have something to say about that.
Go ahead.
So on I sent it to AJ because I thought he was going to send his corrections in, and but on the candidate page, Tammy's her bio or whatever got cut off. It is on a previous one. So
Just a minute, I think it's fixed.
Oh, okay.
I think it's fixed.
It's fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
There were a couple of things we're switching back and forth, and when that happens, and there's lots of fingers, and but I fixed that. There was that whole page had to kind of get fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of weird. I think we were using different Word versions, different years, and when they went back and forth between me and Linda, we had a bunch of spacing issues keep cropping up too, where it would like double space words apart, or or not space them at all.
And that was happening, with Unilec too. And Andrew's really good with this stuff. And so that's how come this page is all fixed properly.
But yeah, I have a couple pretty minor edits.
Go
Linda,
ahead.
I'll send them to you.
I know you want to do your president's letter. You're going to have to tell me what you want to do. What other pages, please?
I think that was,
Or are you just gonna, it's just she's expecting to see something from me tonight.
yeah, I'll get it to you tonight. I haven't had a chance. I've had a busy day. I haven't had a chance to look at what Sonia sent me, and then I'll put my edits in there too, and then we'll send it to you here after the meeting.
Well, Linda, I was just gonna say it looks really nice. The last thing that you sent, it looks nice.
It
Yeah,
looks,
I didn't
they do
really
a
see
really
anything.
nice job of stuff. They really do. You know, they were yesterday when I was visiting with them. They also had a death in a family that they're dealing with right now. And so it's just, you know, I'm glad that we got the new reserve study information in and all that sort of thing. I know Sonia had a couple of things with me where something was missing, that even though everybody was looking at all these different things, it was the letter C, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, that we didn't even know.
And I went back and I finally went all the way back to the agenda, and we were missing it on that also.
Right. Yeah.
I tried to catch all the comments that people sent me.
Yeah, you did a good job, Linda. I thought it looked good
included
too.
here, and I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get into proxies. But if you look on page 19, we included information on how to submit proxies. And just so you know, it's there. We've had discussions about this, that it has to be in our information, and I'll talk about it more when we look at the drafts of our documents, which is next up.
All right.
So if
Well,
nobody has any,
I'll send you my stuff after the meeting. Mine are just a couple tweaks, nothing big. So
Yeah, it looks really good, Linda. You guys should be proud.
oh, and it was hard this year. It was difficult, but it's done and it's over.
yeah, nothing like being thrown the proxy curveball at the nth hour.
Yes, that's exactly true. And like I say, we'll talk. I think that's next on the agenda. I think.
Yep. Let's move right into it.
So one of the things I wanted to say, and I have told Unilec this, is they told me if they had to deal with all of this, that they needed very clear-cut rules. We think the committee has developed a really smooth plan to handle proxies. They're not going to get, as you can see in the directions for voting, they're going to be handled through N&E. We'll issue them, we will number them, we will give them the information, mail them out. They need to return them by the deadline, just like a ballot. We will, when they return them to us, we will then issue them a receipt that they will bring to the in-person voting on Saturday morning, because proxies have to be voted from the floor. They can't be voted any other way. So then they will be given a ballot to go upstairs and vote at the meeting. And that way, all Unilec has to do is register them and give them a ballot. Last year, Catherine made pink copies of the instead of white, just so she could tell and be sure that all of them were hers. She'll probably do the same thing this year. I will ask her if she wants another color for proxies, just to make sure that nobody puts any in the ballot box downstairs, although someone has to watch the ballot box. So hopefully they can tell people, no, you can't turn this in. You need to vote it from the floor upstairs. Because that's the one thing that's critical, is those have to be voted in person. We submitted some guidelines and also a proxy form that shows that this is a directed proxy. There's a place for two notary stamps. One is called individual, the top one on the form. And that's where the person who wants someone to vote for them, the owner, says, yes, I signed this and I'm giving this. This is their notary. Then below is a representative acknowledgement. The wording is a little different, and that's for the person who is going to be the proxy, acknowledges that, yes, I looked at this document and I know what it says and I agree to do what it says. The board asked for there to be notaries, so it's been notarized. The back of it has instructions on how to obtain and vote the directed proxy. And then there's guidelines. The guidelines, we did the best we could. A lot of times entity works from the bylaws, and there's nothing in the bylaws about proxies. I don't know, the board really needs to issue some sort of a policy that we follow. But we're running up on, we said the first day people could ask for proxies is the 1st of October. So I'm hoping our attorney can look at these documents and tell us, yeah, it's okay, no problem. He already said that that it was okay to ask for the notaries and stuff. The language is just simple language out of proxy, different proxy things. Some of it was even from the old proxies we used to use way back in the day, because we used to vote with proxies before we went to mail-in ballots. We think we've done the best we can, the committee, to come up with ideas and stuff to get this underway. And I'm hoping that y'all will look at this and say that it can be referred to the attorney so we can get something back, so we can print up a few copies of these when the time comes.
I think we can do that.
Cool.
I don't think anyone's going to be opposed to that, and then we can have it all ready to go then. And we'll get that board policy set up then for the next meeting too. So we can get everything kind of in place as a package.
Yeah, there were a couple, I think there was one comment on the bottom of the whole thing that, it's like, there's some things we don't know, like, how do we ensure the ballot voted from the floor by the designated agent matches the actual proxy? I think it's a matter of, it's a notarized signature that says you will do this. I just, they used to do it way different when they did proxies and nothing else, but I can't speak to that because it's like not anything I have. And all the laws and stuff regarding a lot of proxies and what you can and can't do, I don't even know what that says anymore. Robert's rules are what's really funny is Robert's, that is our second fallback on this if nothing else works. Roberts hates proxies, doesn't believe in them, doesn't want anything to do with them. So there's some of our,
for the legislator.
some of our sources of information are sadly gone. So you're going to have a big job next year, who's ever still on the board. I will say this much, because you've got some rewriting of bylaws and stuff to do that's going to be major. But I hope that you will send this to the lawyer as soon as possible so we can get anything he has to say back.
I'm home tomorrow babysitting kids, so I'll send it off to Richard tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Sonia?
Well, I was just going to say, thank you guys. Thank NNE, because as AJ mentioned, you turned it around really fast, and I think you did a really good job on all the proxy stuff. And it is a particular legislator that seems to not want community members to actually have a voice, and so he's doing everything he can to make sure that nobody participates and votes, which is unfortunate. What I was going to ask though is, when you send it to him, Will you just ask him to write the language for the policy, and that'll make it a lot easier, and we're not guessing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, document review can do it too, but I just thought it'd be faster since we're kind of under the gun.
Okay, I can talk to Richard about that.
Okay, thank you.
He might have some ideas. I've expended my knowledge of proxies.
All right, do we have anything else on this? It's getting late and we got one last agenda item.
Rolling here.
All right, let's move forward on this agenda item. I'm going to can everyone see that?
Yep.
All right, so obviously at the beginning of this year, we had terminated for cause our previous general manager. And we've been moving forward this entire year with recruiting a new general manager. We are currently in process with that right now, and that job is posted. And our Novak, our consultant, is assisting us with that. But through the course of the last couple months, the executives have been working pretty closely with our management team. And we have identified some key issues in our organizational structure that we would like to accomplish to provide better stability across our association's operations. And this will allow us to achieve some of the strategic priorities that have been identified in our strategic planning sessions and our budget sessions. And it'll really help us provide that accountability across our organization, especially at the top of our organization. You know, and I would just like to start by thanking all of our management team and our staff. You know, they've done a tremendous job this year. They really are the backbone of our community, and they're the ones that provide the stability. They're the ones that run these departments. You can see that they manage these employees. You know, it seems that the GM and those top people have been continually put on a pedestal at the expense of some of these other employees. And, you know, a big appreciation to everything that's happened this year, you know, even amidst some of the adversity that we've had to work our way through and some of the transformational changes we've had to make at our management level. You know, Joel Heverling has provided stable financial consultant or financial management. We just talked about our budget and it's looking good this year. He's been pivotal in helping us develop the budget you know, after that had to be revamped by the executive committee. Darren is brought in June, I believe, as our maintenance manager, and he's been tremendous since. We've seen a significant amount of backlog of our maintenance get taken care of. You know, the crew's been working hard after the windstorms, dealing with some of the trees that came down, doing some road sweeping and getting that process started. Lots of overdue maintenance to our buildings and our facilities getting taken care of. And he's been tremendous in that regard. Sam is a new manager for us in our Parks and Rec program. He, you know, through our entire busy season, you know, our rec facilities, our pools, you know, have gone off without a hitch. Lots of good work done there. Establishing some new programs like swim lessons, things like that. And our golf director, Brian Krulak, along with our new turf care superintendent, Jeremy Galvin, they have successfully managed to bring in $1 million in revenue this year. And we're trending in some very good directions on the operational, you know, net revenue as far as that goes. And so, you know, a huge thank you to all of them. They've been pivotal. Obviously, all of our other staff members are pivotal in this whole process too. You know, and they, you know, amidst everything, they've really kept everything moving along, you know, fairly smoothly. And this structure that you see in place is, there's not significant changes necessarily here to the way, that we currently have. There's just a couple key changes that have been identified, through talking with all of our management team. It became clear to us that, with Rachel finding a new job and finding something that better suited her family, and her moving to a part-time role to assist us in this transition, she helped us identify, along with talking with all of our managers, that, we really do need to provide that stability at the top of our organization with, a deputy GM type person. And so you see here in this org chart, there's kind of this central cog of an operations manager, which is, what we've taken Rachel's role as the administrative services manager / HR manager, and move them into this deputy GM operations manager role to work in tandem with the GM, that we're currently recruiting, to really oversee and provide that consistent support to all of our department heads and their staff, so that we have consistency across with consistent operating procedures in place. We have, good accountability across the board. We're documenting things the way we should be, and that's a key part to, dealing with and keeping our GM accountable. This management team is really the eyes and ears for the board. They need to feel empowered to be able to speak up and when things aren't being done the way that, they probably should be. And we've certainly had some issues with that in the past, and we've been working to try to deal with that and put processes in place so that that doesn't continue to happen. And so, as far as, the why we need this structure, it provides that stability, like I said, across our entire operations. It creates a leadership model that is collaboration leadership as opposed to a hierarchical top-down structure, where the GM has this like ultimate authority over everybody and, uses that or wields that. We really believe that, in discussing all this with the management team, that, everyone will be better served. There'll be a bigger picture happening from all of the departments. It'll allow more efficient coordination of all of our resources and allocating those to where they need to happen. It provides us that agility to pivot and deal with issues as they arise while still managing all of those day-to-day things that need to happen all the time. It really has become apparent to all of us that, these managers really do provide that stability in our community. They create, as individuals and as a collective, the ability to help each other come up with the best solutions, use all of their brain power collectively, so that they're making the best decision and they've come up with the right solutions. It's going to provide us that stability, and it really empowers all of our leaders in our organization to deliver, consistent and quality services, and it gives them the support that they need continuously. Whether, we lose a GM because they find a new job, or, we lose a GM because of inappropriate things that happen. It really is all about that stability and sustainability of the community. And touching back on the operations manager, they're obviously responsible for the management of the admin department, just like the ASM role was, but they also are going to work in collaboration with the GM to provide that support to the whole management team across all departments. You know, and the administration department is critical to our organization. They provide support to us as the board, all of our committees, all of our staff, all of the members, and the general public and vendors and consultants that we deal with as well. You know, they are a critical piece to the puzzle. And having that, you know, enhanced leadership of and putting and getting someone in that's a deputy GM is really going to provide that crucial crucial role that we need. This position also is going to be in charge of our capital projects and coordinating with the GM to deliver those. We as a board obviously put together a very robust capital program with our budget this year. We have a number of big projects that we want to tackle in like the rec center, or just the rec corridor in general, Area Z, the marina, all sorts of things. I'm not going to go into the whole list, but if you go to our annual general meeting tab, you can see the budget presentation there on the website. And this position will provide that checks and balances at the top of the organization. The other key change that's part of the management team that you'll see in here is the environmental planner, environmental services planner. So, you know, previously we have an ACC coordinator role, you know, and we keep trying to utilize an administrative position to support these, you know, more complicated and, you know, dedicated processes to our governing documents with the ACC, with enforcement, compliance, hazard tree programs, all of our planning. We implemented a new planning process over the last 2 years through long range planning and now the board. And, you know, this person will provide critical support, both technical administrative to the ACC, while also providing our association, our staff as a whole with environmental and natural resource planning. You know, that dives into our hazard tree program and implementing that, you know, along with all of our green space that we have and dealing with those issues. You know, we obviously hear from the community all the time about like, what are we doing? You know, we offer this Firewise program for all these homeowners, but what about all the green space lots? You know, there's a significant amount of planning work that needs to be done to set ourselves up for success in the future, you know, and ensure, you know, we're dealing with some of these things that, you know, haven't really had a plan in place in the past. You know, this person would obviously help administer with the GM enforcing some of our governing documents. You know, we get, you know, people send in complaints, you know, and you know, and we want a mechanism and a program that's enforced fairly and not selectively and is dealt with in an appropriate manner. You know, that's utilizes, you know, as much tact and warning as possible without just resulting to extorting our neighbors of their money via fines. You know, and can really work with the community and drive home some of those processes. You know, this position would help support the GM and the management team and the board and the long range planning committee all together as the strategic planning team, you know, through its yearly planning processes, you know, making sure we're doing all of this on a yearly basis and implementing our long range community plan as well as our strategic plans, and really providing that support to the board to give those clear direction to the general manager on what are the priorities for our community. You know, and this restructuring will provide support to all of our management team. You know, this position can help plan and manage all of our facilities, our infrastructure, common areas, undeveloped properties. You know, they can work closely with like our maintenance manager and making sure we're planning and maintaining all of our infrastructure with good documentation and logs, and you know, can help remind people if we've slipped on any of those, you know, daily routine maintenance things, you know, and that type of thing. And the last thing that we identified is we previously had a position that was referred to as the assistant marina and reservations manager. And, you know, our rec program is obviously something that a lot of our residents move here for. We have pools, we have the rec center, the fitness center, we have the marina, we have canoe and kayak rentals on Lake Louise and Lake Whatcom and in various places on Lake Whatcom. You know, they're also responsible for administering the rental of all the other facilities as well. And moving that position into a Parks and Rec assistant manager to work collaboratively with Sam, our recreation manager, and coordinating the day-to-day operations of our rec program. You know, this position would cover a lot of the same duties that the previous position did in managing the parks, the trails, the marina, and all the rental of facilities, which includes like our RV storage, and the kayak and canoe rentals, like I said. You know, the big thing with this is, you know, there's a significant amount of work and capital outlay and stuff in the rec corridor. And next to golf, the rec program is our main source of non-dues revenue. So restructuring the department a little bit to provide that cohesive team between Sam and this position to really provide consistent services in our recreational amenities and really be able to enhance and increase non-dues revenue that we see from that program. You know, this will ensure that we can continue to provide the maintenance and operations for all those facilities, and that we're really benefiting all of our members, and we can, you know, increase our non-dues revenue so that we can, you know, not have to increase member assessments to cover, you know, future programs that maybe the community wants to, you know, add to the list of things that we already offer. You know, it really provides that stability in the rec department. Previously, the two jobs between the rec manager and the marina manager were a bit siloed. And so we really want to pull them together and build that department and the stability of it. You know, I think creating that value and adding, you know, increasing our ability to bring in more non-dues revenue from programs, or, you know, reevaluating the marina parking lot to be able to, you know, fix areas that are traditionally swampy, that, you know, we can fix that stuff and bring it up to a standard. We can add more spaces to drive more revenue. Same thing goes with our RV storage, canoe and kayak rentals, all that type of stuff. You know, there needs to be, you know, a look at that, and we need to provide that department the ability to, you know, enhance that department and grow its potential. And, you know, some of the non-dues revenue that we can materialize, you know, can help fund further staff development, so that we can, you know, further enhance these programs, you know, provide more skill sets to our employees and training, or, you know, equipment or resources, you know, for them to provide better services to our community. And so, you know, at this point, we are actively, you know, working to fill the positions, and utilizing some recruitment services to help us with that. And yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of what, you know, some of what's been happening, how we're kind of moving forward with the management team to help fill some of these positions that we do have open, and finish bringing all of our departments back up to full staffing. I don't know if there's any questions or comments on that. Linda?
Just a quickie. a couple of quick ones. So I'm assuming that the funding for the Parks Rec Assistant Manager and the Environmental Planner are sourced within the current 2022 budget for employees, correct?
Yeah.
So explain to me where and how the funding is going to come for this operations manager. And are you going to advertise or put this person on staff if possible before we get the GM, or how is that all going to fit together?
Yeah, I mean, the funding mechanism is through Rachel's, previous position.
Hey, guys. John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please take a look at the members and the audience and kind
I see.
of do a little
Gotcha.
cleanup there, please? Thanks.
The answer to that is no.
Huh? What?
Yeah,
Somebody thinks
none
so
of us
too.
are paid employees, but
And there is a community comment, time. So if you'd like to step up and ask that question, then that's also appropriate. Thank you.
But yes, Linda, the operations manager position is a pivot off of Rachel's position. It's, that's, Rachel's still supporting us in a part-time role, as, mostly assisting us with HR, work and, the occasional ASM duties outside of her new job.
Mhm.
And the environmental planner is that ACC coordinator role, and that some of the plans for that position would be, utilizing, they would be responsible too for, dealing with the new construction builds and that type of thing. So we have, fees that we bring in for all that. Obviously we have a consultant, currently, but, a lot of that will need to be, evaluated as we move forward, as this person gets up to speed, and those roles will need to be meshed up, or, that, yeah. And that funding will need to match, but I think the most important aspect of that is bringing in that dedicated person with that technical knowledge, and a planner has that ability to, read Whatcom County code, state law, our governing documents, understand that stuff, implement programs that, are fair and consistent across the board for all of our community members, and deal with those new construction builds, and help the ACC in their, role of dealing with all the, exterior requests and tree requests and those types of things. They'd be responsible for working with our maintenance manager on, administering and implementing the hazard tree program for SVCA property and right of way. So all of that would function in that capacity.
I just was concerned that if you're expecting somebody to do that, Bob, that might be a steeper amount of money than we're looking at for what our current just ACC coordinator did. That's all. I'm just concerned about the budget for next year.
It is a bigger salary that we can expect to see. But we have those fees that we bring in, and reevaluating our relationship with our ACC consultant and figuring that out.
Okay.
We've worked with Joel, the county manager, to make sure we're, we feel like we're in a good spot there. And I think, Keith can sit here and agree with everything we've dealt with the ACC this year, that we need a skilled person to help us with that role, and it'll be pivotal in helping us kind of turn around, you know, some of the stuff that we've been dealing with over the last year.
Okay.
But it's basically the roles are just they're reimagined, for lack of a better word, to bring us into this century. You know, the association has grown, but these roles haven't, and it doesn't work anymore. It's really kind of dysfunctional, and we need, and it's unrealistic to put that type of burden, number one, on to volunteer committees. Doesn't mean the ACC won't still be woven into the fabric of the association, but you know, through elections and just you know, people have lives and they can't dedicate 24 hours a day doing that job the same way someone's gone to college, has a degree, experience, able to do it. That's the person that needs to step in there and provide that support that the community needs, especially I think, as AJ mentioned earlier, that there's going to be, with everything that's going on with the county, we're looking at a lot of stormwater stuff too. We really need somebody that is going to create that stable relationship with the county, and it's going to last consistently, no matter like through board changes and all of that stuff, you know, because the whole goal, right, is to keep our operations stable and sustainable, and that they're not influenced no matter who's on the board and that type of thing, that our operations are, you know, like I said, functioning and we're not overburdening members, that we're a successful community. And we have to really start acting like a multi-million-dollar corporation. We're not run like one, you know, and one of the things I think we can all say is, as awful as some of this has been, having it, normally the board is distant from staff and management, and we've gotten a lot of incredible feedback from that management team, and it really opened our eyes to the dysfunction, and it's because of them, you know, of being able to come up with this structure that's going to have that checks and balances. Like AJ said, they already work so well together, but these key pieces we're missing, right? And you cannot keep putting that on the wrong people, like admin staff that is not trained to do all of this permitting and everything else with ACC. You know, we have to get into this century.
Do we have any more questions on all that? You know, I think the big key is just bringing in some stronger skill sets in, you know, some of these positions, you know, and really trying to provide, you know, that support across all departments and in each department, you know, and I think in working with the management team, you know, over the last number of months, you know, it's not ideal to be without a general manager, you know, and we've had to, you know, be more involved at times with the management team and help them with things and support them and things. And that's part of what the big, you know, kind of 1A, 1B at the top, you know, provides, is so we, you know, we as a board don't ever have to get that involved in like the day-to-day things at that level. And, you know, we can be more involved with staff at board meeting picnics and things like that are, you know, enjoyable and fun for everybody, as opposed to, you know, the day-to-day operations. And we can build those relationships through those types of events, as opposed to, you know, working day to day with them on things like that. You know, and again, just a huge thank you to all of our staff. It's, you know, it has been a good year. There has been some adversity along the way, and making transformational change at the management level of an organization is never something that is easy to do. But it was perfectly clear to us as a board at the beginning of this term that that was what was needed. And talking with our management staff that stayed around after we started to make those changes, it became even more obvious that, these are some of the things that we need to do, and we need to provide them that consistent support, stability. And that's what we plan to do. So yeah, I don't have anything else. If anyone has anything else they would like to say, we'll move on to property owner comments.
I just want to say thank you guys, because I know I haven't been on the board the whole year. And if it wasn't for the work that you guys did, we wouldn't be where we are now. We wouldn't have this opportunity. So thank you. And thank you for having the courage to do it. I'm grateful.
Thank you. All right. Well, we will move forward then and move into property owner comments.
And we've got a few people still with us, and Cheryl's got her hand raised. So I'll go ahead and bring Cheryl on over. And if you could give your name and address, please.
Hi there, it's Cheryl Taylor, 6 Caddy Lane. Just
back.
a couple of, pardon me?
So welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. Great presentation, by the way. Very, very impressed with the work that you've done. So great job. My comments, I'll make them very quick because it is very late. You guys have worked hard. There has been a comment on one of the Facebook pages about somebody being unable to access minutes and videos on the website. So I'd like to ask whoever it is in charge of that, is that Joel or I'm not sure. But it does appear that many of the video links are not there, and the minute links are not there. And it may be that the one up on the top where it says find us on YouTube is supposed to take care of that. But it makes it look like they're not there and they're not available. And somebody going to the websites immediately, I mean, the visuals are going to go, oh no, it's not posted, what's going on? So I wanted to, I know you guys are busy, but if whoever is in charge of that could take some time to maybe take a look at that. And also there is a typo on the 9-2 entry. Video is misspelled. Sorry, that's a hazard of my trade. The second thing I wanted to just briefly, I wanted to plant a seed. One of the things that went really, really well last year was the snow plowing effort. Once the snow hit us, the little dude on the baby plow, I think is what it was nicknamed, did a fantastic job. I hope that that kind of forethought and planning will be on the radar for next year. Hopefully we won't have those kinds of snow problems, but if they do, I hope we're prepared, because that was the most effective snow plowing or snow removal that we have ever had in the valley before. So that's all I really had. Great job, guys. I'm impressed. You're doing a good job.
Your ears must be burning, Cheryl, because that company just contacted us today about getting those plans in place for baby plow, and Darren, our maintenance manager, is already getting involved on that, and we'll be working with them. So yep. And
outstanding.
And then
Great.
We'll take a look at that website, and we have some new members in our admin staff right now, and I think there'll be some good additional training for them on doing some website updates and stuff to get some of that kind of put in place.
Will you be putting this presentation on also individually?
Yeah, I was gonna put something together. We were gonna get something for the views as well. I know Brent's here, and we had emailed them earlier tonight about saving us some space in the views, and we're gonna work to get all that packaged up. It is in our agenda links under an addendum, but we'll get it in a more prominent position.
Great, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Josh, you got something to say, or are you just raising your hand for fun?
A little bit of both. But I'd like to see if anyone, it looks like Leslie's first, so I'll wait till, the appropriate time.
I'll go ahead and return Cheryl to the attendees. Let's see. Let's bring Leslie on over. All right, Leslie, I've brought you back over.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Josh. Leslie McRoberts, Vision 23, Lot 22. Who knows what that means? I had a question about the CRRF for next year. There's some money in there to do renovations on Barn 6, the ice barn, $275,000, I think. There has been concern in the past about the condition of that building. And I was wondering if we have a written engineer's evaluation of that, and that's how we came up with that amount of money to do the update.
So we've been working with Darren, our maintenance manager, on that building. There's been a number of engineering reports done on it in the past that's, stated structurally sound. We've had a company that deals with pole barn buildings out to take a look at things. And the main structure of the building is in good shape. Some of the side awning structures, are in less good shape. They didn't use quite as quality of materials, had some, didn't use treated wood, things like that. But the building itself is dry. There's actually a metal roof underneath the cedar shake roof that looks decrepit on top. At this point in time, that estimate is a planning level estimate, and we're working with some contractors to further develop that project as we move forward.
One of the things that I heard was when the shake roof was put on top, it was actually nailed to the metal roof, and therefore there would be holes in the metal roof.
So we've had a couple of people, like AJ was saying, out, and not that we would keep that metal roof, but it interestingly enough has those holes. They're not like extensive, and so they haven't really done that much damage. There's only one support structure internally, because as you know, Leslie, it's a pole barn, right? And so there's only one main support in there that would need to be replaced. That's what we've heard from a couple of different people that's what they do. And as AJ said, it's those lean-tos. And apparently what we've been told is those lean-tos were added on, but because they seem to be a different type of material. And those are where, we'll have to make some determination. There is some rot and everything, but the barn itself, the structure is really solid. There's also two engineering reports. I think one's from 2015, one's from 2014, that had also verified that the barn was it was structurally sound. It just had a couple of support structures that needed to be replaced. And from what we are gathering, it's pretty dry all in there, and it's those reports from 2015 are still reflective of where we are today.
Yeah, that is interesting. You do have the engineering reports, so I think I will probably make a request to see those. Thank you.
No worries. I think, what we see is a viable, space for our rec corridor to contribute to some covered recreation facilities. Talking with our rec department staff and our maintenance staff on the stuff, and obviously some more planning and some discussion with the community and everything like that probably through some for our next survey and everything like that. But ideas like sport courts for pickleball and tennis and basketball, to putt golf course, to an artificial ice surface, to reinvent the the ice rink, you know, without having the significant maintenance costs that go with a real ice rink. All those kind of ideas have been floated around a little bit. And so some of that space will need to be, you know, grown and imagined and planned. But it all has to start with the building being put back into usable state.
All right, thanks, Leslie. I'll go ahead and return you to the attendees at this time. And Josh?
You gonna bring me over, John? All right. Josh Bowen, 17 Stable Lane. So we just had the windstorm, right? Everyone remembers that. I would like to request from the board that we have another clean green in the next week or so, if that is doable. I'm hearing a lot of people would appreciate that. And there is a lot of debris out there. So if there's anything that we can do, it might be a good idea to do that.
I think we'll talk to Darren and see what we can do.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Darren's a go-getter, so I'm sure he'll figure something out.
Awesome.
Speaking of that, I do want to now I'm going to like throw that out. Some of you guys probably are aware that some of these roads got blocked off on Friday night. You know, our maintenance crew was out there, but also turf care was out until midnight, and that just is just another. They, like I said, those guys work so well together, and so when we couldn't get, you know, when maintenance was busy on in one area, then turf care jumped in, and it was like at 8:30 at night, and they worked out there. Chad worked out there until midnight, and so yeah, it's they've really been impressive. So I'm sure if they can get it done, they will definitely do it.
Thank you.
Good point. All right. Any other attendees got anything to say?
Move to adjourn.
All right. Second that.
At 10:03, Josh.
10:03, Linda. Thanks for getting